And you know that this law book's issue has some history, which I will recite the relevant portions of quickly. When I debated office, I was requested, as every other minister in our government, to meet with our successor and to do a handing over of assets and other materials relevant to the ministry. In accordance with that arrangement, I met with Mr. Basil Williams, and at that meeting, among the things that I discussed with him was the arrangement which I had with the government of Guyana, negotiated with President Donald Ramotar prior to my appointment, for the government to take over the payment of and to continue to pay for certain books that I was subscribing to years ago, years before my appointment. President Ramotar granted me that facility, and it was not that I could have gone and buy books at will. The arrangement was confined to existing subscriptions which I had, which I was subscribing to at the time. And in relation to this, there was only one book that I was subscribing to, and it was the Law Reports of the Commonwealth, published by Nexus Lexis of London. And I wrote to Nexus Lexis after I got permission of the President, and I informed them that I will continue to subscribe pursuant to my contract with them, but that the payment arrangement will change, and that the Ministry of Legal Affairs will now assume payment, and that the books will be sent to my new office. That position was activated, and when I left office, I wrote Nexus Lexis and informed them to revert the payment arrangement to the position which existed prior, and to post the books now to my law office, which they were posting into prior to my appointment. This arrangement I detailed to Basil Williams at our first meeting. And in fact, one of the books which I had was left in the office, and I took it in his presence. He never objected to this arrangement. In fact, he said to me that he wished if he was subscribing to some books so that he could have continued this arrangement. And that was the end of the matter. Nearly a year after, he began to have problems with the permanent secretary who was employed in the ministry under my tenure, Indira Ananjit, and he commenced an investigation through the Auditor General Office to investigate what he claims to be missing computer parts and missing law books. I met him in the Parliament one day and I said, I explained to you this law books issue. I have the law books, they're not missing, and I explained to you the contract, the arrangement under which these books were acquired and paid for. He said to me to stay out, that he wants to get a DPS, and that I should not stand between him and the PS. I said to him that, I can't stand idly by and allow you to victimize an innocent person. In relation, I don't know anything about the computer parts, but I have custody of the law books, and I explained to you how. When the audit report, the special audit was done by Auditor General Office, a report was done and given to him. The report did not implicate myself nor the PS in any wrongdoing whatsoever. He has never made that report public. He still has it. I have a copy and I'll make it public some point in time. I don't have it with me right now. Then as I continued in Parliament and outside of Parliament to be critical of Mr. Williams as he conducts his functions as Attorney General, which I am required to do as part of my political portfolio, because I am to scrutinize his work and expose his failings. That's part of my political function. And as I started to do that, our relationship began to deteriorate. And several times in the parliament, in the corridors of the parliament, he said that he will make this law book issue a big one. It all came to an explosive stage when I filed proceedings after the local government elections, and I obtained certain orders preventing the tied chairperson who were appointed by Burkan to act, which included the mayor of Bamaruma and about 4 NDC chairpersons were unlawfully appointed by Burkan to act. And I went to court and got certain orders. And in my remarks to the press, I said that the Attorney General is incapable of reading and understanding the clear language of the law because of the position that he was adopting publicly. And that is when our relationship reached a stage. And then that is when he held a press conference that very day and started to speak about law books missing and a law book scandal. I immediately that day issued a detailed public statement outlining, as I said, this entire transaction. Significantly, when the Auditor General was doing the special audit, I wrote to the Auditor General because he requested from me, and I outlined again the transaction. And President Donna Ramata wrote to the Auditor General as well and confirmed this arrangement under which I acquired these books. And it has been downhill since. Every time tension raises between Mr. Bassey Williams and myself, he resorts to these law books. When I exposed his contemptuous and disgraceful behavior before Franklin Holder, the Honorable High Court Judge, it hit another pitch. That is when he started to scream that I am a thief and that I stole government property, that I will be jailed, as a result of which, as I indicated to you at a press conference, I filed proceedings for libel and slander against him. Those proceedings are still pending. And this is as a direct result of that. Had I gone back to private practice when I left office as Attorney General and lived an ordinary life and stayed away from politics and don't criticize anybody, this would have never happened. This is absolutely the witch hunting that we are speaking about. They don't even have a section under the law that they're looking at. It can't fall under the SARA bill because the SARA bill has not assented to, and in any event, the SARA bill has a value of $10 million. So these books can't fall. So they don't even know what section they're going on. But it is all harassment. SOCU has no mandate to deal with these matters. SOCU is supposed to deal with financial crimes. There's nothing financial about these laws. And there's no financial crime being committed. So that's what I want to say as my introductory remarks. And of course, as I go on, I will explain for you.
Thank you.
Yes, I fully agree with Mr. Nandlall, and I think, 2 years into the government's tenure, we don't even need to say this anymore. We invite you to pay attention to the way they're managing the country. Every time they get into trouble, which is practically every day, they're unable to get the economy moving. They are receiving criticism after criticism from just about every group that exists. They have to go to their own constituents and beg them, please have patience with us. We're going to get this rolling. We're going to get the country moving. And every time they get into trouble, they use legitimate arms of the state that should really be used to better the lives and the situation of Guyana, to target and muzzle political opponents. What happened here today is a disgraceful and shameful attempt to muzzle the PPPC's shadow Minister of Legal Affairs, Attorney General. And it's not going to work. As you see, we're not muzzled. We're sitting right here letting you know what happened. You heard yourself the sequence of events that led to this arrest, and I'm sure you could have followed it throughout and would have seen that every time Mr. Nandlall raises something truthful but shameful about the Attorney General, we're in the position of hearing about scandal. So frankly, from my position, I'm glad this happened because again, it exposes the government for who they are and what they are. When the government wants this nation to take them seriously about fighting crime and fighting corruption, I invite you to take them seriously when they deal with the scholarships that they have given away to their ministers and friends and families. I invite you to take them seriously about dealing with corruption and crime when they take the drug bond scandal seriously and ask Soku and Saru to investigate those. I invite you to take them seriously when they address the $600 and something million that we spent on drug purchases, which have not reached this country or its citizens as yet, without going through our procedures laid down by law. They are not serious. What they want to do is to shut us up. If one of us stop talking, or if all of us stop talking, you won't see any charges being laid or any persons being arrested. This is an attempt to intimidate us. We've seen this kind of politics before. If you haven't seen it like me, you can read about it in books like Father Morrison's Justice. It's selling at Austin's. And what we have to guard against, this is not about Anil Nandlall or Priya Manichan or any of us. This is about our country descending. And when the country descends into a place that where people can be picked up and targeted and arrested for their view and their opinion and for airing that and for associating with a political party, then we're descending into a place that none of us would want to live in or have our children live in. And so it's each of us, it's our duty here to make sure we speak out against this.
Well, thank you very much. You have heard from Mr. Nandlall and Ms. Manichan about the nature of this government, and Anil outlined the history of this issue.